Day 19. Um, so I want to go off a little more on what I was talking about yesterday because um, I have totally flipped it around. We all the time, a lot of times people talk about why they're stressing and a lot of times what they need to let go of and where that comes from, why they need to let go of it. And sometimes that's really good to discover it so that you can go to the base of it and release that one way or another. And another time, it's another way to just make yourself continually suffer. And when you're at the bottom of the ocean and you're drowning, you don't sit here and talk about the bottom of the ocean. You go towards the top. And yesterday, our team was coaching, doing the flow groups, and we were talking about value. First of all, we were talking about money, and someone I was working with was talking about her value. And I said, well, what do you want to make an hour? Just to talk. Like, I understand it's not about money, but what it is about is being in alignment that matches a certain money. In other words, if you're making $1 billion a year, you have to ask yourself, what do I want to be for the world that would earn that totally in a non-slimy way? What would I want to give to the world? How would I give my gifts? Like, what level of a book would I write, or what? And then when people sometimes judge money, you could say, well, yeah, money isn't the problem. I really believe that, first of all. I believe that the problem is most of the time money gets in egotistic hands, because people that move to their heart, they feel good enough, and a lot of times they lose their motivation. Sometimes they have it, but a lot of times it's the people that like really have to have money that sometimes they get it. And really, one thing money does is it accents who you are at that time. So if you're someone who's selfish and you end up making a lot of money, you might be really selfish and hoarding it. But if you're a really generous person, I don't believe necessarily that money changes you. I believe there's a lot of people that can also give money. And I was talking to this client about, I said, well, what do you want to charge an hour? And she said, well, I'd like to make 500 an hour, but that scares me. And I said, oh, well, if that scares you, you must be easily replaceable. And she said, no, I'm not at all. And I said, oh, you mean there's only one you, and what you're going to offer is your original thing, your talent? She's a coach, but like there's only one her. And one thing Bob Proctor said once is your pay is often worth how easily replaceable you are. And for instance, there's people on my team that I can't replace, and I value them very, very, very much. And as more money comes in, it goes out to them too, because they're valuable to me. And people that are easily replaceable, you understand that you can kind of cap that, that's very hard to make more money if you can be replaced very easily. But if you start to really access your skills and your talents and your amazingness, you suddenly realize that there's only one you, and the world needs your gift if you really know what you're doing. And I said to her, what if you just charge 500 an hour? And she was like scared about it. And I said, what if you did charge that and then you honored it, and then you suddenly had to become something more amazing that was worth that? And I started talking about, like, what if I took a leap? Like, what if I leapt? And I said, and we had been doing 1,400 seaters. And I said, what if we did something like 10,000 seaters? And it suddenly called to me. And I got really excited about it. I got scared, but I got excited. And then the second I said to Dan, my teammate, I think we should officially do 10,000 seaters, I said that and he agreed, all the fear went away and I was only excited. And I felt like I was only going towards being what I would need to be to fill a 10,000 seater. So the second I did that, all the stress I'd been going through last week went away, because I have something new that's so exciting to me to reach for. And as you do that and you reach for the thing, you just naturally let go of the other things. In fact, you shouldn't be looking at what you're letting go of. You should be looking towards what you want. An analogy I've used a couple times is a snake shedding its skin doesn't stare at the old skin over and over and think about what it's letting go of. It thinks about the new skin and what it's doing, and it doesn't even notice that it shed the skin. And as you become what you want to become and you step into your greatness, the the stuff that you've been trying to let go of will just be let go of, right? So if you really think about what you want, and then sometimes it's really amazing if you put yourself in a position to have to move there. You know, like I was talking, every client that worked with me this weekend at Flow Group, we had a specific thing that they had to do after they left Flow Group to make sure that they lock and load so that they create the alignment for that. So one person like is going to rent a place to have a class. One person is going to go on a vacation with a camera person and film this YouTube TV show that they're going to film. And every person had one. And every time we work with clients, we give them a thing that they work through and they put themselves in a position to move towards that. So with me, we just said, let's go look at the rates of either the Nokia Theater or the Staples Center, and let's put a down payment on it. These are like concert halls. These are where enormous legendary bands play. You know, the Nokia Theater, now it's called the Microsoft Theater. It's 7,100 seats, and then the Staples Center is 18,000. And we're going to go start pricing these. And it sounds crazy, right? That's a scary leap for me, but what I'm really excited about is what I would have to become for it to be normal for me to do an 18,000 seater. What would I have to become? So when we said yes to this and the team all agreed that's our next venture, when I woke up this morning, I felt pulled out of my bed. I had very little sleep and I just immediately ran up a hill and ran on a 6-mile hike in the hills that usually I walk like a mile and turn around, but I was being pulled. Like I was so energetic and so pulled and so excited about life all of a sudden. And it's because we said yes to a leap that pulls me into a whole new level of myself and makes me have to both move towards the goal with excitement and trust that I'll be able to create from a whole new alignment. Because I started thinking of the videos that we'd make and how much more confident I would be and how much more I know this truth that's coming through me because I'm stepping into even more of my greatness. And every human being has this. They have this greatness in them that is exciting to them, and we've trained ourselves out of stepping into it. And when you do, you will start to see once you say yes to it, you'll start to see all the ways there. The huge mistake is we make the how first. So if I go 18,000 seats and my mind goes, I don't see how we could fill it, so I won't. Well, I did it backwards. When you say yes to it, then the hows start to fill in. You get all year to come up with 1 million hows, right? But if you're trying to think of a how right then you're really saying the old alignment that I am is what I'm going to stay. And here's this giant theater, but I'm going to sit here and say, this person doesn't know how, but this person would know how. So you create the get on the island and burn the boats, as Tony Robbins would say. And then your hows will show up when you create a why. Because my why is I have to fill that theater. I have to give my gift on a higher level. I have to give what I can and all my gifts. And I have to see what I would become on the way there. I'd have to see how we would fill that theater and how many different things we would do and how good our work would become and how much more driven I'll be. And people go, well, that's a lot of work. It's not work when you love it. It's like I get to live in my purpose. It's much more exciting than sitting and watching Netflix all day. I get to live in my calling. And our team is all fired up. And I feel so good. And I just ran up this hill this morning and felt so alive. And all these questions I've had about relationships and all these different questions I've had about stress and overcoming pain from my past and everything were gone. And so I'm totally locking and loading and making this decision. And my whole team is in on it. And we're pricing these things. But next year we're going to do an enormous, enormous stadium for an Evolving Out Loud. And I'm so excited. So you can change your value by stepping into the thing you want. And when you're scared shitless, you're only scared to make the decision. Once you say yes to it and stay there, your fear will go away. But the fear is saying yes to it. The fear is deciding to say yes. Once you say yes, it goes away. It's like looking over the plane on skydiving. You're like, I could still pull out. I could still do it. And once you leap, you let go. And people always say the scary part of skydiving is when I look over the side. Once I leap, I'll be fine. So that's how you leap.